Today we're delighted to launch the next version of IFS Assist 11.5. But before we talk about Assist, I want to consider the world enterprises live in today. Whether you're a CIO, an HR leader, or a customer support manager, everything comes down to just one thing: improving experience. Across the enterprise, teams are focusing on enabling customers, employees, and end users get done what they need to do. That could be something as simple as a customer asking for their personal information, or for HR teams, it's about making your organization the absolute best place to work so that you can attract and retain the best talent. And if you're a CIO, well, experience means knowing exactly what tech your employees are using so that you can support them in attaining their goals. But for many enterprises, creating a seamless experience is easier said than done. So today we're discussing the idea of improving experience and what it means for people right across the organization. We're going to take a deep dive into some of the challenges that IT leaders, employees, and customers are facing everywhere. And then we'll talk about how IFS Assist provides a single solution to all these challenges. And over the course of the chat, I'm going to be joined by a number of special guests from across the IFS team to do just that. To chat more about the challenges IT teams face, I'm joined by two very special guests: Stefan Mars, Chief Technology and Product Officer, and Keith O'Kelly, Chief Revenue Officer for the Enterprise Service Management Business Unit at IFS. Well, this is a big challenge. Stefan, how would you say IT teams around the globe are dealing with the problems of so many choices?
Well, like you say, we live in a world where there is myriads of different tools that can be used by employees. The challenge is that IT often doesn't know what they're working with. This is often called shadow IT. So the IT team have this configuration management database, it's also called CMDBs, that they use to understand all the hardware and software that's used in the organization. It's really important. You can't make any decision unless you know what's the technology that you're dealing with. But a lot of the time, the end user are finding their own tools. It's great on one hand because that means that they are essentially solving the problem in an innovative manner. But it makes the job really difficult for IT because they don't understand the technology that's being used. And that means that those CMDBs aren't up to date. And as cloud technology gets more and more prevalent, this concept, this issue of shadow IT also increases. And it goes beyond shadow IT. There are more and more tools and applications that are being used across enterprise deployed in cloud or deployed cloud native. It's incredibly important to be able to track and monitor this deployment, that it be for management purpose, for compliance, to keep track of the licenses that are being used, usage, cost, and so on. So you need essentially to be able to automate the discovery of what's being used, deployed, and so on in an automatic manner.
Great. What would the consequence of that be, and how difficult is it to manage for IT teams?
Well, if the IT team doesn't know the technology that is being used, it's a free-for-all, and to a large extent, they are unable to take any decision. They don't know what's the technology that's being licensed. It's very difficult to understand where the budget is going. They don't know where the cost is coming from, and it can easily go out of control. They don't have the visibility in order to manage the performance or where the money is going. And it's not just about costs, right? It's also for security, for compliance, for example, the licenses that are being used. The IT team needs to understand where the vulnerability are coming from in the environment, and it's really struggling to keep their CMDB up to date. When new technology is being introduced, nobody updates the CMDB. And that's probably one of the reasons why Gartner predicted that 75% of the CMDB's investment are essentially a waste today, because you can't justify this investment. It's a big problem, and clearly you need new approaches.
Keith, what would you say the wider implication is for organizations?
The truth is this can have a really big impact on the organization and the employee experience. We've all been talking about these concepts for years now. Enterprises are focused on getting the best deals for their internal teams and the best products or service for the customers. But at the heart of that is technology and the people in charge of the technology in the IT team. Now, if the IT team doesn't understand the tools and the assets that they're using to support the employees and the customers that they rely on, then it means that licenses don't get renewed, best practices don't get written, silos, forms and confusion reigns. And like you say, Candice, everything comes back to experience.
That's really fascinating. But we've spent a lot of time talking about the challenges here. What, though, is the solution? How can IT teams actually manage to overcome this particular niggle?
Yeah, that's a good question, Candice. A recent Gartner report identified a number of recommendations to help organizations keep their CMDBs up to date and stop this knowledge gap. One is create a CMDB charter that clearly identifies the duties for who owns it and who monitors and who updates the technology. Two was to reduce the information in your CMDB to only what's necessary, like the clear, to help make effective decisions. That means that there's less noise and you can focus on the information that matters. And three is to create clear change management processes across the organization. So when any new tech is licensed or brought into your organization, is always added to the CMDB. That's all the potential to be really significant. But what if you don't need to manually add every software license of a laptop to the database? What if it just happened automatically? Well, that's what our new update does. It's called Cloud Discoverability. And it adds all the assets and configuration items that are in the estate automatically to the CMDB, which allows IT teams to work collaboratively.
Thanks, Keith. And I think cloud discoverability really does hit home. That is ultimately the solution. Stefan, over to you with regards to the features of this new release.
Yeah, I think that the most important is that 11.5 will include now the capability to do cloud discovery and cloud native discovery. In terms of cloud discovery, this means that you will be able to discover workloads that are deployed on Azure, and we plan in the near future to add a whole bunch of other relevant clouds for that purpose. Cloud native discovery is even more modern. It allows you to essentially track the behavior of your Kubernetes clusters and what's being deployed in those environments. This is actually way more complicated because in practice, when you do cloud native applications, you will have a whole bunch of ephemeral workloads that appear and disappear at any time. If you want to be able to essentially track for licensing purpose or for monitoring purpose or for cost purpose, what has been deployed, you will need to be able to essentially track those ephemeral instances and figure out when they appeared, when they disappeared, and so on. So this is a big new feature that's very interesting for the product that allows us to be very modern and which is really essential for the future. In addition, I would say that we are really expanding the way that discovery happens. In the past, you were doing discovery by deploying probes or agents in an environment and hoping to essentially be able, as a result, to find out everything that's existing there. Now we are able also to query APIs so that we can much more efficiently get from the cloud or get from Kubernetes the information about the workloads that have been deployed. And if you allow me to say something additional, I would say that this is part of what we call the ITOM module, which is really focused on the CMDB and the discoverability. I think that assyst is today the only product that includes out of the box essentially the ability to have all those ITOM features. And I would say that if customers today are using their own manual process or the tools of other vendors essentially today to collect this information, they should definitely have a look at the feature that we provide in assyst. Because our approach in this context is essentially to make all the different features that are required for the deployment of ESM, ITSM, ITOM, all-encompassing solution. So you get them out of the box, they are available, you can take advantage of it instead of having to try to pay additional license or have the problem of manual entry that's often incorrect.
That's brilliant, thank you very much. A very, very compelling proposition from assyst. Today we've heard a lot about how IFS helps teams in theory, but what really matters is seeing it in action. So that's exactly what we're about to do. To do that, I am joined by Craig Woodcock, Solution Consultant at IFS, to show us how it works. Over to you, Craig.
Thanks, Candice. I'd like to take you through a little demonstration of the new IFS Assist features. Now, this is the graphical view of our CMDB. As I was talking earlier on, a lot of my customers that I have just now, it's a hybrid situation. They have infrastructure, old services and old applications that are sitting on-premise, and a number of services they've now migrated into Azure, for example. All of these resources have to come back into this kind of singular view, this single CMDB view here. There's my application there, it's called the CRM application. There's the server that it's sitting on. You know, it could have been a virtual server sitting on Microsoft Azure, for example. But ultimately, I want to be able to discover that and bring that into Assist. From here, I'm understanding the impact. This particular server, if it goes offline, it has a huge impact. It's not just a CRM application, it's a number of critical business applications. From here, of course, on that right-hand side, I can understand who the point of call is, who's the on-call POC, who's the primary contacts, what's their details, how do I contact them? Has there been a change in the last 24 hours? Our system, of course, has all the ITIL processes out of the box. It's a single database, a single solution. So for example, I do need to know, was there a change in the last 24 hours against this particular application or server, for example? And there has been a change made that was applied to this particular server. And I can see its configuration has come straight from the discovery products. This has come from Assist ITOM, it's done a scan, and it's brought in all these attributes against this particular server. Now, what creates all of these configuration items and the relationships that you see on the screen here, from the application to the servers and the virtual machines, that is Assist ITOM, IT Operations Management. That's the discovery product. And this is what you're seeing on the screen right now. This is Assist ITOM. It's showing me all the types of devices that it's discovered. Now, typically that would be your on-premise devices like printers, routers, servers, switches, laptops and desktops, but we need to add to that as well, everything that we can discover from Azure, for example, Azure Cloud. For me, it's being able to drill down into these details. For example, in here, I've got all the details of the ones we've done agentless discovery on and agent-based discovery. From here, I can drill down into not just the software and things like, let's have a look at software compliance, for example. We'll take a look at the overall software compliance for this organization and see if we have any licenses that we have to purchase, for example, any sort of overspend or underspending on shortfalls, for example, any sort of IT compliance rules against security. All of this is really important, but the one thing that was missing in the past was cloud discovery. So let's do that right now. This is the next release of 11.5 of Assist, and you can see there is this option here on the right-hand side, which is cloud discovery. In order to be able to do cloud discovery, I do need to set up a new profile. So we'll do that. So under settings, under discovery profiles, there's a wizard there. And one of them is for cloud discovery. So if I pick an example there, we'll drill down into the details of that one. We can see what sort of resources we want to discover. So for example, it's going to be virtual machines. It's going to be Kubernetes clusters. It's going to be container groups. And then from there, I'll schedule it. So we'll do an hourly schedule, a daily schedule, or a weekly schedule. And again, that will form part of our overall discovery into the CMDB. Once we've done that, we can see the actual inventory coming back. So it's not just those desktops and laptops and on-premise servers that we have there and virtual machines. It's everything we're also discovering in the cloud from Microsoft Azure in this case. So we'll drill down into that cloud discovery right there. We can see the subscriptions first of all. So I might have a number of subscriptions for development and live. We'll drill down into this one here. I've got a development subscription. And it's found 23 virtual machines. It's found 2 container groups, 1 Kubernetes clusters. I can drill down into the details. So I've got the resources of these particular machines, for example, all the way down to the integrations virtual machines. So from here, I can see the disk size, the location, the subscription IDs, and the addresses. This is critical for me. All of this information will be passed back into the CMDB, right back to where we were previously, which is this particular picture here. For the service desk agents, drilling down into faults and doing a root cause analysis, understanding the impact of a major incident against your services. Those services are spread against Microsoft Azure services, on-premise services. I have that one picture that's really, really critical for me as an analyst. So there you have it. The information you need when you need it, without all the hard work of trying to track it down. Now you can make effective decisions about what licenses and equipment you need to buy. You're managing your IT budgets. You're ensuring there's watertight security, and you're giving people the tools they need to succeed. It's that easy. Back to you, Candice.
Thank you, Craig. It's great to see the tech in action. For our next chat, I wanted to sit down with someone who really gets the big picture when it comes to enterprise tech. So I'd like to introduce Martin Schirmer, President of the Enterprise Service Management Business Unit here at IFS. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today, Martin.
Thank you, Candice. What I wanted to do now was I wanted to focus on two key global trends that we have seen that's driving the IFS assyst product strategy and direction. The first is the pandemic. What we all know and what we've seen is that the work from home or the hybrid workspace has become the norm. And what we also expect is that the hybrid workspace is here to stay. What does that then mean? What it means is that our employees are engaging with us via different means or through digital platforms. It also means that organizations that have managed to drive that digital transformation strategy and ensured that the employee has the relevant capability to engage with the company and have a simple, easy to use employee experience are ahead of organizations that haven't managed to roll this out. So what we see is that obviously employees expect to engage with the organization from anywhere, on any device, from any place. This is critical. And what they also expect is that as everything in this world today, being fast moving, it's exceptionally intuitive. In other words, it's simple and easy to use, so the employee has the kind of experience that they expect, be it whilst they're onboarding, be it from a learning capability, be it from having to engage because one of their devices is not functioning or is not broken. The next thing is that what we also see is, and I've seen it myself to be honest, is that talent is hard to come by. Right now there's a bit of a talent war going on and the market is exceptionally buoyant for employees out there today. So what does that then mean? It means we have to, again, be exceptionally good at engaging continuously with our employees, and again, as I said, through digital means, because retaining talent is even more important right now. The cost of talent leaving and having to rehire and retrain, etc., is exceptionally costly to organizations. So it's very, very, very important. And I think one facet that we also forget, I had read a study that every employee has around 14 assets that they carry with them at any one point in time in their hybrid workspace, meaning it's very, very important for us to be able to manage, track, and maintain those assets, again, to ensure that, of course, the employee gets the right kind of experience that we expect, so again, we can retain that talent. So very, very important. So these are two fundamental things that are driving the IFS assyst strategy and direction, as I mentioned. What I also wanted to focus on was, it's not only about the employee experience within companies. We have many stakeholders across the board. So customers, vendors, etc. And what of course we want is, we want to make sure that all of those touch points with the company, be it from the employee, the customer, be it from the vendor, is an experience that is similar, is an experience that is simple. In other words, there is a total experience that we expect for all the stakeholders that engage with the organization that is common and the same and is simple to use and easy to maintain. What does that then mean? It means that the strategy we have to drive, and we are driving with IFS assyst, is to ensure that we have a platform that is a common platform that no matter what touch point or any device, as I said, omni-channel, that you come into the organization into, is the same experience, is a simple experience, and is an engaging one, making sure that we have that common total experience. In other words, consider that you could have a customer experience platform, you could have an employee experience platform, you could have a vendor experience platform. All disparate systems, all not the same look and feel, all not the same architecture, all different. Not easy to maintain, not easy to roll out, different people in the back office, so on and so forth. So our strategy, provide that common experience across the board, give all stakeholders that total experience that is the same, and ensure they're engaging with us within the organization. That's all from me. Back to you, Candice.
I'm now joined by Oliver Pulgersdorfer, CMO of IFS, to talk about the value of the tech that we're creating. Oliver, thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Now, the conversation we've had to date has been all around, yes, the moment of service combined with total experience. What was on your mind when you first came across the IFS Assist proposition?
I was like, yes, it's a perfect fit for us. So, you know, the heritage of IFS is that we've been dealing with many asset intensive and then production focused or manufacturing businesses. And with that has come the need for those companies to address service management. But in service management, that's mainly been field service management. And so IFS has really created quite a lot of differentiation and is now known in the market for our ability around depot dispatch, warehouse management, reverse logistics, and all of the things that go with that. So thinking about how customer focused that is, there's an obvious thing that obviously needs to go with that from an internal perspective about how you can really get your ducks in a row with your people and your internal processes to make sure that your enterprise service management is also delivering for customers. So it's a great combination for our overall proposition to match the two elements together. I think it really defines us quite differently in the market to some of our peers, where we know people out there are comparing us to other vendors out there. We've got this great differentiation. It's based around delivering great moments of service for customers, and that's really what matters.
I like what you said there, because there is a clear link between engaged, happy employees and the happy customer at the back end of that particular service. So the one actually necessitates the other.
There's so many different parts of that. You know, there are so many internal processes that have an inordinate impact on how you deal with your own customers. And if you don't get those internal processes right, well managed, efficient, and driven with efficiency, then things are going to go wrong for your customers. And that, in today's environment, is just not an option.
Great. I know that IFS are actually using Assyst to make sure that that internal employee experience is one that is flawless. How would you say it has helped the IFS teams internally?
Well, first of all, it was pretty quick. The implementation was fast, and that is always meaningful, because when you're buying a new piece of tech, time to value is just the most important part. So, drinking our own Kool-Aid, people are more than skeptical about these types of things. But when the implementation happened, it made us reflect on our own processes. The team behind it, our corporate services team, did a fabulous job of implementing super fast. And it's really meant that everybody in the organisation can really live the product, so that when we're talking to prospects, to customers, we get it. We understand how the technology works. And I think that only when that's actually in your DNA can you do a good job of actually serving your customers.
I love that it gives our own people an empathy of what our customers have to go
100%.
through with regard to an implementation. Wonderful. So the last question I wanted to ask you was with regard to organizations that haven't yet had this light bulb moment of what enterprise service management is. What do you prophesy would be their fate?
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't know what you're missing out on. And, for many businesses, who want to go and succeed and grow, the big challenges are, what are the main hurdles that you're going to go through to really unlock that exponential growth that every business aspires to have? I think that you get to a point, and different hurdles within a business in the way that it develops, that you need to go and take those moments of assessment. And I certainly would say to any company that hasn't gone through a process evaluation and thought about how they can go and improve efficiency, how they can start extracting cost, how they can actually really focus on their customer to deliver those moments of service, is you're missing a trick. And unfortunately, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. So we're in this dog-eat-dog world now where people are moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And every company needs to think about how they differentiate. So, using technology to find those places where you can be super efficient and unlock value is really what we're here to do. And I know that's the promise behind the great work that the team have been doing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the enthusiasm and the energy with regard to Assyst. The future of the enterprise is all about total experience. Whether you're a CIO, HR manager, or sales leader, it is clear that we are in the midst of a rapid transformation. And from empowering cloud discoverability to enabling total enterprise experience, There's so much potential for this to change and enhance, as well as empower the service that we all deliver. Now the challenge is for enterprises everywhere to take this opportunity and run with it. That's how you can offer the experience your customers and employees crave. I'd like to say a big thanks once again to all the guests that have joined me here today, and for all of you who have tuned in to watch. Goodbye.